Yeah.
What's up, guys? Quinn, are we finally doing something to this thing?
This is my longest running car that I've not really modified.
Dude, I'm so pumped about this.
I bought this in 2013.
2000.
It was over 11 years ago. And all
That's wild.
all I've done to this point was coilovers, a set of wheels, a carbon fibre front lip, and a duckbill spoiler.
And it's time.
Oh, and a set of pedals.
It's time.
It's time.
What are we doing?
What should we call this project? I feel like it should be something a little bit more enticing than Project Z4M Coupe.
Project Uncorked Z4M Coupe?
I think it should be like called like the Gentleman's like Hoonmobile or something. I don't know, maybe that's just the old nerd in me.
Phallic Hood, Project Phallic Hood. I don't know.
Anyhow, with all the hype, with all the manual transmission, naturally aspirated BMW M cars growing in popularity now because everything's turbocharged and no longer the same, I started getting the itch to dive into this project and really just bring it to that next level of enjoyment and some theater, right? Because it's really quiet and tame, but just add some of that element of theater. We dynoed this car. We didn't hear the dyno video yet.
Oh, no, we didn't. No, we did. Did we?
No.
I think we might have touched on it in one video.
All right, we're gonna air it right now. So bone stock with 44,000 miles on the clock, dropping it right now. Overall, really happy with how healthy this engine is for
I was
foam
surprised.
stock. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good baseline. My goal in doing all this stuff is I want it to be at least at 330 at the wheels, and I think we're going to be able to get there. Closer to 340 would be awesome. So really, you know, because all the cool kids now, there's like this like level of graduation, right? It's like we all start off with like Hondas.
Yep.
You know, I had 4 Civics when I was younger, turbocharged, swap, B series, all that. You know, you graduate from Civics, you go to like
Miatas.
Well, I graduated to Miatas. I don't know if that's really graduation, but like, you know, the Ricer level is like
entry rear-wheel drive.
Yeah. Then you go to like an S2000, and then then it's like BMW stuff, maybe an NSX, and then like the real cool kids. Then they start moving into like Porsche crap. But I'm not ready to make that move. I'm not sold on it. I have this thing and it wins. It has a big W for me because it's front engine rear wheel drive. I just don't think I could wrap my head around like MR and RR engine layouts. They don't drive the way I want to drive.
They're quick.
Yeah,
but if you want to do
I got
the
fast
asshole
cars
stuff, then
I like knucklehead driving.
Yeah.
So the goal for this build is to shave weight, make more power, and add theater to the car because, and I keep saying this word theater, for those of you who don't know, so the Z4M Coupe has the legendary S54, which is the 3.2 liter naturally aspirated inline 6 that revs to 8,000 RPM, makes 333 horsepower from the E46 M3. This is basically the whole E46 M3 drivetrain in here. I think there's something slightly different with the gearbox, but whatever. It's pretty much the same crap. But the beauty of the Z4M is that it's smaller and lighter than the E46 M3 and way the hell more rigid.
Yeah.
This is double the rigidity of the E92 V8 M3. That's how rigid this chassis is. So it's really cool because it's a fixed roof. This is not a convertible. So I love Grand Touring cars, but I hate the weight of a Grand Touring car. And this reminds me of like a miniature Grand Touring car. We did our spotlight video on this a few years back called, you know, the poor man's Aston, which I don't think many people really appreciated.
No, everybody hated that.
But that's what it reminds me of. I love Aston Martins. I think they're beautiful cars and they're comfy, but they're way too fat and too heavy to like really be engaging. This, you know, base weight on it, 3140 something, 3145.
Bad.
Yeah. So here's what we have planned for it. The goal is to keep it streetable and comfortable. I love how quiet it is. This is much more quieter than an E46 M3. You don't have any of the rasp or the buzziness in the exhaust. The S54 gets real tinny and shitty sounding, for lack of a better word, when you start to open it up. I have 4 catalytic converters in this car, 2 in the headers, 2 in the mid-pipe section. All 4 of those are going goodbye. What we're replacing it with, as much as it pains me to say this, is a set of these Supersprint. This is their V2 stepped race header. So this is kind of like the bee's knees when it comes to Supersprint headers. Disclaimer, I think these headers are pieces of shit and they should not cost $2,000+. I bought this set secondhand, but it was never installed, and I think I want to say I was either $1,900 out the door or $1,800 out the door. It's still too much, but the best header for the car was made by Epic Motorsports, and they don't make them anymore. I tried asking Randy to make me a set and even offering him a handsome amount to do it, and he refused. So I was no choice but to pick up the next best thing that's available, and it's these Supersprints. This collector,
that's what I was going to say,
is dog shit. It's not a real merge collector, and I don't know if we're going to be able to see this on camera. You probably can't see this on camera, but they weld a triangular plate in here to create the collector. Which, like, clearly it does something, because these headers do make better power than pretty much all the other BMW headers that are out there.
You're getting rid of the catalytic converters. Like that's,
well, yes, you are getting rid of the cats, but like a lot of people do, like the CSL headers, which don't have them, right? But they collect right after, like they have very short primary runners, and they collect up here. They don't make as much power as these.
Yeah.
You want good collectors, because, and I preach this all the time, that's what creates your exhaust scavenging, and that's where the power is in the header. Supersprint kind of cheats it with that little bullshit plate that they put in there. But this should not be anywhere near $2,000. This should literally be $1,000. But all the headers that are in the $800 to $1,300 range are really dog shit.
Yeah. Really bad.
This has step primaries, which definitely helps with low end, right? A lot of the other headers are not stepped. So it's what we got. But again, like, this isn't competing in some time attack class where I need every ounce of horsepower, and I'm already going to be giving up some horsepower because I'm not changing out the whole exhaust. What were we going to say?
I was going to say we should test the scavenging. Like, you know how you get a post-it, and then you like blow air down one tube and see if it like pulls the post-it down. We should try it.
We could do that.
Yeah.
So, where's I going with this?
Sorry.
Okay. So the headers, Supersprint. Next, we're getting rid of they call it the Section 1. Which has 2 more larger cats. This is from an E46 M3. I bought this used on Marketplace, but these are resonators that are in here to hopefully keep some of the rasp and drone down. They, because they're for an E46 M3, they're not going to bolt up to my factory exhaust. We have to chop off the rear exhaust flanges and flip them 180 degrees and re-weld them. But again, it came up cheap. We'll just chop the flanges and re-weld it.
That shouldn't be too bad.
Yep. So that eliminates all 4 cats. There should be a good amount of weight savings involved in there. And, you know, I'm going to keep the factory X pipe, which has a resonator in it, and then the factory mufflers, which are chambered, and they're very juicy. The whole factory exhaust on this car, like I want to say, weighs at least 100 pounds. It's heavy.
Yeah, you can tell it's not. It suppresses the sound very well.
This car is silent compared to an E46 M3. The big cherry on the top here is the Turner Motorsports CSL airbox, which we have links in our description for if you want to help support us and you want this airbox, purchase it through our affiliate links. Helps us greatly. This is a beautifully done version of the CSL airbox. So there was the M3 CSL, which came with a full carbon airbox, opens up the inlet greatly. Factory is a very thick, muted plastic airbox, so you don't hear any of that throttle body noise. The S54 has individual throttle bodies from the factory, which is awesome, but you don't get any of the excitement from it because you can't hear it. The factory setup is also mated to a mass airflow sensor and then a regular air box with a paper air filter. So this is just going to put one big filter in here in front of the throttle inlets, and you're going to hear more of that induction noise. And this is weight savings, and it also creates more horsepower. Plus, it looks beautiful.
Oh my God, it's gorgeous.
The Turner box is awesome, and for the price, I don't see any reason to buy anybody else's because they're all kind of the same thing at the end of the day. But what you get in the whole kit is complete for the car. So they give you the air intake temp sensor that you're going to convert to, because we're going to get rid of the mass airflow sensor. Tuning is going to get converted over to Alpha N. We're using HTE tuning for the tuning on this. To top it off, we're doing some Turner lightweight accessory pulleys, also in the description below. Free up some of the parasitic drag of the engine. Maybe it's worth like 3 to 5 horsepower, but like I said, I'll be tremendously happy if I could break 330 at the wheels. Outside of that, we're going to delete the air pump assembly and clean up some stuff in the engine bay. I got an oil leak over on the left side of the engine, so we're going to be doing
a BMW oil leak.
I know, right? It's so freaking weird. How, that's like preposterous, especially at only 44,000 miles. We do have to convert to a different stud to run these headers, which I have that. So we'll be going over and covering all those bits in this project, but we'll see how the videos go. I don't know if we're going to break it up per segment or however. I guess we'll probably separate the airbox and the exhaust mods into 2 separate segments. But once it's all done, we're going to put her back on the rollers, see what it makes for power. I'll probably go try to race Tommy in his 996 Porsche to see really what's up for the German sports cars. But I think when it's all said and done, we're going to get that theater. Hearing the individual throttle buys on inline 6 should sound really good. But it's going to have that little mini Grand Touring cruiser meets like dedicated sports car atmosphere going on, and it's just going to be a really fun hoon car, and it's going to do it justice versus everything else here in this garage because it's just so untouched right now. So let's get her up on the lift. We'll start pulling the exhaust stuff off and installing the headers.
I love how this engine looks. It's such a cool looking engine.
It is nice.
With that Turner box and then...
I mean, there's dumb shit like this is fucking heinous.
Yeah.
This is going.
Oh, that's the air pump that you're getting rid of?
Air pump and the fucking...
Oh,
I got to
God.
block... Yeah, because look at this fucking... What is
it's going to
this?
look so good after that.
It is kind of funny that like BMW's like, Z4 S54? Okay.
Yeah.
And they just plop it in here and like didn't really care too much about anything else. All right, so
Quinn, you're pissed. I'm throwing my hat on the ground. No, you throw it on the ground too.
all right, don't get old. We're saving 4 pounds of weight savings here, but this mid pipe is at least 3 inches shorter than the OEM, so I don't know if this is all gonna work.
That's weight saving. And unfortunately, this is the side that didn't need to be modified.
Yeah, you
these
can see
flanges line
these
up.
flanges are reversed right here.
So if it's not long enough, we have to modify both sides because we have to extend. And what is that? 2 1/4, 2 1/2?
Oh, it looks like 2 1/4. Well, let's get the headers mounted and we'll see where they land. Okay, so we got the factory turd headers out, and I took weights for everything.
That wasn't too bad. It was just a little tedious.
Yeah, it wasn't as bad as I thought. They come out from the bottom of the car. So you get most of the bolts through the engine bay. I had to get 3 of them, well, I should say nuts, A lot of them were just taking the studs with them, so that's why I was thinking bolts. But I had to get 3 of them from underneath the car. And then once they're loose, though, they come right out through the bottom, and that wasn't too bad. They just kind of came right out. So the stock section 1 is 19.3 pounds. The stainless resonated section 1 I have here is 15.3 pounds, so that's 4 pounds lighter, although we're going to have to extend the pipes on here because this is just shorter. So I'm not really sure why. I thought E46 M3 was literally the same length, other than the flanges had to be reversed at the rear. The headers, stock headers with cats, 18.5 pounds. The Supersprint, whatever they are, V2 headers, 13.8 pounds, so that's minus 4.7 pounds there. And then the air pump assembly is 4.2 pounds, so total weight savings, 12.9 pounds. It's something, but at the end of the day, it's not really making much of a difference. I thought I was going to save more weight because I had the exhaust off of the car from the headers back years ago, and I had to use a jack to get it down, and it felt ridiculously heavy, but I think most of the weight is in the stock mufflers and in the stock X pipe. So, and those are the components that are staying. Probably why this car's quiet and not loud and raspy. But whatever, it doesn't really matter. You know, I said it would be nice to get it under 200 pounds, but I don't think that's going to happen. But whatever, 3220 probably when said and done is not that bad. We'll deal with it. So
330 to 340 wheel horsepower.
Yeah, as long as I'm at that golden ratio, I'll be above
exactly.
it. Yeah. So
more horsepower per 100 pounds, right?
I think we said 10 horsepower per every 100 pounds.
Yeah. So 3,200 pounds, you want 320 horsepower.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I think we could definitely break 320 wheel horsepower.
Yeah.
And that'll be great. Be a fun car. So.
Yeah.
All right, let's. Well, I got to change the studs out for the exhaust because these have a solid flange, and the stock ones have these little recessed flanges.
I hate those flanges.
So they're much thinner. So I bought a kit. I think I got it from Beamer World. It's like a header installation kit. Comes with new gaskets, copper nuts, and longer studs, so you can run a aftermarket header. We're going to put that in the car. Put these back in. We'll highlight anything that's notable. Oh, I did take the stock headers off with the O2 sensors in them.
Yeah, that was important. You can't. There's not a lot of room to get the O2 sensors out.
The downstream ones were like wicked seized in there. I had to put the headers in a vise and use a big old bar. Oh no, what do we use? We use a 7/8.
A box end wrench.
Box end wrench, and I hammered it to get those loose. The primaries, no problem. Those came off pretty easily. So we'll reinstall the O2 sensors into the headers and then feed them back up, get them into place, and I'll let you guys know if there's any other notes. All right, so now that everything's out of the car, there's 2 items that I'm addressing while I have access to them. Number 1 is on the left side of the engine towards the back in the upper corner here. We're not going to be able to show you this on camera because you're not going to be able to see it, but where your cylinder number 6 is, directly below that, there's a small valve there, and it's your constant pressure relief valve. There's an O-ring in there, and I'm replacing that because that's prone to leak. There's a little bit of seepage on my block. I think that may have been leaking the tiniest bit, but the other one that I'm sure is leaking, from what I see, is the timing chain tensioner, which is on the front of the engine here near the timing chain. It pushes up against the guide, but there's oil in there because this is a timing chain, and it uses just a aluminum crush washer type of O-ring, and mine seems to be weeping because I have some wetness on the block there. I put my hand underneath it, I got oil residue on it. So here is the constant relief pressure valve that I replaced, and you can see there's an O-ring on it. When I bought this, I bought it from Turner Motorsports. They included a tool, which I don't even know where I put it in this, like, oh, here it is, in this whopping mess here. It's just basically a big giant flathead screwdriver that goes to a 3/8 socket. So you use this to take this out. I don't know what the torque spec is. It wasn't in there very tight. I don't think the torque spec matters as long as it's just snug, because you're really relying on the O-ring for sealing. So this is number 1. And then number 2 here is the old timing chain tensioner. It's soaked in oil because when you take it off, some oil is going to come out. And the same thing with the constant pressure relief valve. But here's the crush washer that's on it. I watched some videos of folks changing it, and it seems like when you have headers and everything in the car, this is much tighter to get at. You're going to need a 32 millimeter deep socket. And because I have the headers out, I had no issues getting it in there with a 1/2 inch drive ratchet. Again, the torque, I don't know what the torque spec is on it offhand, but it wasn't much to come out, and maybe that's why it was leaking. Maybe they're just not that tight from the factory. So when I put the new one in, I went at least to that torque and then just a little bit more to make sure that I'm crushing that washer a little bit, but I'm not stripping anything out of the aluminum because it's going into an aluminum head there. At least I think that's in the head. It's hard to see where it's actually bolting into, but either way, BMW materials don't really like a ton of torque, so just be mindful of that. But those are changed out of the way. I think that should stop the oil leak that I was seeing. So here is the header install kit that I had talked about. Here are the extended studs. These have a little Torx head on the end of them, so it's a reverse Torx. So I have a reverse Torx socket set. You should probably own one if you're working on German crap. They give you new gaskets for the manifold itself, 2 new donut gaskets for the end, and then all new copper nuts for the exhaust flanges. So I'm going to stage all these. I'm going to put some anti-seize on them, and I'm going to drive them back in. They're not big, huge threads, and again, it's going into aluminum, so I'm sure there's a torque spec for it. I'm just going to go snug, because once you tension the nuts onto there, they're going to pull on the threads inside the head anyways. So we'll do this, and we'll start reinstalling the Supersprint headers, and that will probably be the stopping point for tonight, because I'm definitely going to have to chop up that section 1, flip the flanges, but I'm also going to have to extend it, so I'm going to order some 60 millimeter OD exhaust pipe to extend the flanges on the other side. Power.
Ooh, shit. 5 horsepower.
5 horsepower. All right, so the header's done. It's in there. We should have shown that, but we'll overlay B-roll in like 2 seconds. Now we're going to move on to some lightweight pulleys for the power steering and water pump. Before we install these, we are going to crack the bolts loose while the belt is on, and then once they're loose and we can loosen them by hand, we'll pull them off. We'll take the accessory belts off and then pull the pulleys off. We'll weigh them, give you the difference in weight. Lightweight pulleys are supposed to free up horsepower. We'll see. I have them in several of my other cars, but it's just like while we're doing all this stuff, like why not?
Yep. There's 2 tensioners. There's one for the AC, and then there's another one for everything else.
Yeah, it was the wrench flat is under a cap, so you have to take the cap off to reveal, or it's a socket hex, excuse me. But
you gonna feel that in the butt dyno?
I mean, like it may do like 3 to 5 horsepower, you know. I just look at it like this, like if all of these mods are going to do like 335 at the wheels, and then the pulleys get me to 340, that 340 wheel horsepower number sounds like much better.
It does.
So I'll take it. And if you guys are interested in these, I put the link in the description below with our affiliate program and Turner.
Rolling.
All right, so Matthew and I got the factory pulleys off. I don't remember what I ordered, but I only got the water pump and power, was it power steering?
Power steering.
Power steering. I didn't get the alternator. But anyhow, The Turner ones are actually pretty nicely made. They're all aluminum. They're very light for what they are, but because they're underdriving the system, they're actually just a titch heavier, but I don't think, so let's just see here the difference. I don't think the weight difference here is really gonna matter. 3.3 ounces for the stock water pump versus 4.68. So 1.3 ounces difference, but it's severely underdriven with this, so that means it shouldn't have to work as hard to spin everything. And then the factory power steering, this one's just plastic and it's actually, mine's chipping, if you see around the edges here.
Oh yeah.
I never touched it. Or actually, is it? It feels like it's maybe metal. I can't tell. It almost feels plasticky to me. But the you can see the size difference here. So we're going from 3.1 ounces to 4.7. So still less than a 2 ounce difference, but again, much larger pulley.
Yeah.
And Turner even supplies a new Continental serpentine belt to go along with the kit. So we're gonna put these bad boys in and free up all the Hearst purrs. All right, we are all done with the exhaust mods on this car. So a couple notes here. The Supersprint headers do not have a EGT bung in them, and the Z4M has an EGT probe, which we've conveniently relocated up in here on this, for cylinders 4, 5, and 6, because they probably run a little bit hotter, being closer to the bulkhead. Now, the pipe. So this is, again, the CPI Performance, they call it their rasp eliminator pipe. This thing does not fit the Z4M Coupe. On Beamer World's website, it says that you just have to chop those rear flanges and rotate them. That's false. Not only does this, the way that this runs from the factory, hit this transmission brace here, it's about 3 inches too short. So there's just no way in hell that it's actually gonna fit. So we basically chopped the thing into 100 pieces and completely re-welded it. So starting from the back here, we separated the brackets, just rotated the canisters to get them in line to where they had to be. These pipes were cut and shortened to bring the bend over to follow the routing path here that the factory exhaust follows. So shortened these, re-welded, brought them over to here, and then added new pipe to extend it, because we chopped down a good amount to get rid of them. I also got rid of the H-pipe section here, because I don't think the E46 M3 has this, but the Z4M has an X-pipe just after this exhaust section, and you probably do not want to add an H-pipe before it, because it's gonna do something for the scavenging and probably cause some sort of issue. So that's been eliminated also, and we are just running now basically with only the X-pipe, stock resonator, stock mufflers, these resonators for the CPI Performance. I also reached out to them and I told them about what I saw, and they kind of confirmed that, well, the Z4M Coupe is rare, so maybe our thoughts are just not correct on the fitment, which is, I was like, okay, cool. Like, are you going to change the website so somebody doesn't buy this and wind up in this situation? But I feel like I'm probably the only person that has done this on a Z4M Coupe, so it's probably never going to be a big thing. But if you're watching this, I don't know if I would suggest getting these. You may just want to get something else that's, guaranteed to fit without modification. Also, they said that they switched to, on the new gen ones, they got rid of whatever these resonators are, but these actually seem like pretty decent quality resonators. They put MagnaFlow ones in, and I'm just not a fan of anything that MagnaFlow makes. I've never been impressed with their noise reduction in the exhaust. So I started the car briefly. I didn't run it for very long because I don't have any tuning on here yet. And it's still very, very quiet and stock-like in this configuration. I would say maybe if stock is like a 5 out of 10 in terms of noise, it's like maybe a 5.5, a 6. It's barely any louder, which is great. So that means that when we do the CSL airbox, we will hear that glorious induction noise. We'll have none of the tinny, buzzy sounding rasp of the car, and I think it will be just a really enjoyable, entertaining drive. Different experience. So I think we're going to close this one off here, and we will resume on the next segment with the CSL airbox install. So thank you guys very much for tuning in. If you like this sort of content, give us a like and a subscribe. If you think it sucks, tell us that too. But check out our web store on slipanglemedia.com, where we are stocking it with a lot of the parts that we run in our own cars here on the channel. And that's the best way to help support us. So thank you all so very much, and we will see you in the next one. Good night.